Hi, my name is Ruben Merre. I am co-founder and CEO of NGRAVE, and I'm from Belgium. NGRAVE is a blockchain technology company on a mission to radically improve your security and your ease of use when you're managing your cryptocurrencies. Fun fact about myself, I love surfing, and I noticed that Ram, one of the co-founders of the program, is actually a ex-pro surfer. So yeah, please accelerate me on that as well. Why did I become an entrepreneur? Well, when I was 8 years old, I had my first tiny little business and I just loved it. And these days, every day I go to work for NGRAVE, I just have that same feeling. It's something that comes from inside. It's your nature that says this is what you're supposed to do. What I think I will get out of the program, what I hope to get out of the program is, first of all, obviously grow my network. Secondly, I know that the platform is also used as a due diligence kind of way for potential investors. So I'm confident we will get value out of that as well. And thirdly, we are actually launching our pre-order campaign the 26th of May on Indiegogo. So these 4 weeks are actually running up to that. So I believe we can gain a lot of traction during the time. And obviously, I just want to show you a little sneak peek of our NGRAVE Zero hardware wallet. Completely offline, you can create and manage your own cryptocurrency accounts. That's it. Next sneak peek will maybe show a little bit more. Thank you very much. Bye.
2, 1.
We are back live. So good afternoon, everyone. It's May 12th, 2 p.m. CET here in Frankfurt. We're in the second half of our day of the Accelerator Frankfurt program. I just want to remind our viewers that next week will be the final showdown. It's our demo day. It's May 20th at 4 p.m. CET. So you can tune in May 20th, 4 p.m. CET to watch the final demo day, how these startups are pitching to investors. But without further ado, we're with our strategic partners, DeepWork Studio, with Charlie and Andre here, and they are going to take NGRAVE through a 1-hour session here. Andre, please tell us, what is it that we're going to do? What is NGRAVE going to get out of this hour?
Yay, hey, thanks so much. Sorry. Yeah, welcome to this workshop. I'm Andre from DeepWork. In the next hour, we'll basically be looking at what your kind of product-related challenges are. I'll share with you some things that I've been working on in the past. I have a background in product design and very kind of rapid innovation for a lot of different companies, pretty much from every single industry, for a lot of very different products, digital products, digital services, analog services, snack bars, VR products. So a lot of different things. And there's a lot of kind of, I guess, learnings from all these things. And whichever stage you're in right now, I'll be able to probably offer some advice on where other teams have been before that I've watched succeed. And along the way, I'll show you some kind of hands-on exercise in how to kind of collaborate remotely better, or how to structure meetings a little bit better, if that's something that's interesting. But that's pretty much it. And I'm really curious to hear from you and get to know you as well. And along on this call is also Charlie, also co-founder of DeepWork.
Hi everyone, really great to meet you. Product designer by background as an intro, and we started DeepWork because there was a real gap in product design in the blockchain space. And the key thing that was kind of made us different to start off with was taking the design sprint process, which Andre had been working on in a client basis for many years, and taking it to remote. And we've been doing this for about 18 months now, and we've learned a lot along the way about how to really effectively use remote work. So we found there's always, even if you're kind of really highly experienced, used to remote working, hopefully there's some tools and tips we can share, or something along the lines of product design, especially in this space. And looking forward to hearing from you guys.
Excellent. Ruben, do you want to give a short intro? Very short, and then they can go through it.
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, my name is Ruben Merre. I'm co-founder and CEO of NGRAVE. We
I've been working for the last 2 years on building a solution that it's more secure and more user-friendly for basically end users in the crypto space to manage their cryptocurrencies. And the product suite features really like a hardware device with which you can manage your cryptocurrencies completely offline. We also have a mobile app to still have the real-time access to what's happening with your accounts. And we also have invented a whole new backup solution for in the event you would lose your first device with all your cryptocurrencies on it, that you actually can still recover all your accounts if you would lose them.
Wow, okay, awesome. That's pretty solid. By the way, can you hear any background noise from me?
No, it's perfect.
Okay. Good. There's a construction site and my house is literally vibrating, so I can feel it, but yeah, that's good.
I like the color contrasts.
Cool, yeah, thanks. I had the background on earlier with wind. Anyway, I'll show you later when we're done. But yeah, cool. That's nice to hear. Glad to get to know you. I think that sounds very, very solid in terms of what you have as a product offering. I prepared a little Miro board. That's something just that helps me or helps us structure meetings as much as possible. Just click on this link, and
yep,
you'll find a lot of workspaces in the center. Let me just share my screen, and then you can. I'll just show you how it works. Oh, you're probably familiar with Miro, right? So have you used it before?
Yeah, you see my cursor already. You're
awesome.
working on the left upper corner, I think. Yeah.
There. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so we basically have these like little workspaces just as a personal area, and then on the right-hand side, that's where we will kind of collaborate together. And the way that I've kind of put this together is in kind of a, I guess, structured way. So for like the beginning of this workshop would be great to just, if you could just kind of tell where your personal challenges are, and everybody else who's on the call. Are you like the only person from NGRAVE, or is anybody else going to join, or?
No, I think Edward also mentioned that he couldn't join. The thing is, we're actually ramping up towards our worldwide launch campaign in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And so everybody's busting their asses off, and we try to do everything very efficient. Whenever I get the chance, or whenever it's needed, I will definitely include the rest of the team. They're never far away. Actually, since yesterday, they are even this close, so you can see them sitting there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's fine.
No worries, but Leon and I are here to support Ruben, and Ruben is super fast anyway, so that's good.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, then let's just start off. I'll set a timer every now and then. I'll set a timer now for about 10 minutes, just so we don't take too much time. And in that time, could you just kind of briefly outline what your current kind of stage is, where you see a lot of challenges, whether it's in how you kind of remote, like, or work together remotely or non-remotely, or whether it's something that's product related or marketing or business strategy related. And everybody else who's listening, I guess you all already know how it works. So just like keep writing the how might we's, and we'll see what we get together then. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we're definitely in a very exciting phase of the company. So in 2 weeks, we will be launching our products on Indiegogo, which is a worldwide crowdfunding campaign for hardware tech products. Mm-hmm. We're now in the last 2 weeks running up towards that campaign. So it's really about building all of that traction. I would say that at this point, we are in some sort of what they call a traction gap. And the idea is that we have to basically cross that gap. And we're doing a lot of stuff actively and proactively to make sure that we can actually get there. I would say it's a lagging indicator of knowing how many sales you are doing on the spot, but we have to focus on the leading indicators, everything we can do right now to basically influence and improve the lagging indicators in 2 weeks from now. So that's really important, obviously. And on a totally other end of the company, we are still building the product. Well, I would say product development is going smoothly, but industrialization is one of the top things on my agenda nowadays. And where we actually have some really big bottleneck projects that are already well, let's say, that we actually were able to deliver them. And but nevertheless, for us, we will be announcing that we will be shipping worldwide in October. So that's a promise we intend to keep. So those are, I would say, the two of the main blocks today in the company, aside from the fact that we obviously have a lot of time management issues, which you always have in a startup, as you can't afford to take on more people than you are, and the work is still there. But I would say that's it in a nutshell.
Cool. And sorry, you mentioned that you are still kind of building out the product. What stage is it in, or like have you already, like, I assume that you already have like the prototype and you've kind of have some parts of it that kind of works, or what's the current kind of stage of the development of the product?
Today we have a working product, so we will also be showcasing that during the campaign. So we will be making a lot of videos on that, but basically the device works. And I guess the information you're probably looking for is how did you build the device? Did you include customers? As of when did you include customers? What are the things you included them in? And I think we can really confidently say that we have included them even before we actually started the company. And so the first thing you have to do in the lean startup methodology is go out of the building and see if anybody cares. And so that's what we did. And we noticed that there was really a huge need for our solution. And I would say that in the past 2 years that we've been working on it, that hasn't really changed. Security is becoming an even more pressing problem. The same goes for usability. And those are the two big factors we are actually solving for the end user.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, cool. What's the kind of target segment? Like, who are the users that you're aiming for?
Well, we go in sort of a phased approach. Eventually, I guess we will be ending up with a couple of verticals in our company. Like one will be B2B, one will be B2B2C. And the one we have to focus on first, it's kind of in the nature of the market. It's B2C. So in individual investors, buyers, traders of crypto who need a special place to entrust their wealth with, which is basically the reason why we built the company, because we couldn't find any solution that did that in a way that we found satisfactory. So 2 years ago, we came together. We said which solution would we entrust with our very first or our very last Bitcoin. We couldn't find an answer, and that's when we decided to build it ourselves. And yeah, now 2 years later, we effectively built that solution.
Okay, and how is that differentiating itself on the landscape? Are there, like, what is different? Like, what is the difference between your product and like a Ledger?
Yeah. I think there are a lot of different. Let's say that what we did is we looked at security from an end-to-end perspective, and we upgraded every single problem or challenge, or let's say a feature that wasn't good enough, up to a whole new level. To give you a simple example, everything starts with the key generation process, because every crypto wallet has a special secret key with which you can get access to the accounts. The way that these keys are created today is actually kind of flawed. And what we did is we built a whole new key generation process. Just that first step, it's already an innovation by itself. We took the best key generation processes in the world and we made them even better. So I would say our approach is end-to-end. We think about every what if, which is something none of the other solutions do. And I think I can say that because if you think about the existing hardware wallets, they give you a piece of paper to write down your secret key if you would lose it, right? Yeah. We actually invented a whole second solution to completely take away the issues or the challenges you have with that. And we kind of do that for every single step along the way.
Right. Are you able to talk about that, or is that something that you're kind of have to keep secret?
Sure, I can. I think if you would put it in a nutshell, it means that we are finally, for the first time in history, offering something that allows you to start truly owning what is yours. And that's a big statement. But if you think about the status quo, you have banks. Banks can say from one day to the next, you never had $100,000 on your account. We've never seen it. Cryptocurrency exchanges can say the exact same thing. We're in the niche of hardware wallets, basically hardware devices that make your key and that you then use to manage your cryptocurrencies. Well, just the key generation process, they already fail there because they give you a key on a device without any say of you from the other side, which means that they might have a database of all the keys they've ever made. So they already fail the start really owning what is yours part, because for us, this ownership means that you are the only one at any point in time that has the true access to this key and the true decision rights of saying anybody else can have access or not on this key. And the ownership, I also see it as if I lose it, I still have a way to retrieve the key without any third party knowing being able to know what the key is. So, and that's why I'm confident that we can say that today we have built a solution with which it's actually possible to truly own what is yours.
Okay, what do kind of customers resonate the most with in this concept of, you know, truly owning what is yours? So I'm just,
Yep.
yeah.
The concept they like most, I would say, is the security, because if we look at security figures today, we see that hacks are getting bigger in size, are getting bigger in frequency, regardless of the technology actually improving over time. So everybody who has an account on an exchange, for example, will always have the feeling, is it still going to be there? The first thing I do when I look at my exchange is I go to the balance, and not just to see like, hey, what's the balance, but more like, is the balance still there? And it's something that so many people have confirmed that they have as a feeling. And it's one of our goals to completely remove that feeling, which is why our solution, it is completely offline, meaning we do not need to connect in any kind of way to another network connection. We don't need a USB to connect. We can just turn the device on and off with a button, and we can manage your crypto without never exposing your private or your secret keys. And so taking away that feeling, for example, is something that is huge. It's something that is hard to imagine today because nobody really has it. It's just not possible. Even with the hardware wallets, you have to connect them to your computer. So yeah, that kind of peace of mind is definitely something people have been looking for a long time.
Okay, cool. And just one last thing. What are your current kind of marketing strategies in terms of how you, I guess, communicate that, or plan to, like maybe you're still in the work?
Yeah, so we have been getting gradually out of the stealth phase, which we were mostly developing, and now we're moving gradually into the here we are phase. And so let's say now we are mostly ramping up by integrating all of these, let's say, swimming ponds in which we actually have the fish swimming that we know that we actually want to have. Now it's our job to put out the right bait for these people. And over time, we are evolving towards, for example, influencers, which is something very big in the B2C crypto space. And we actually have a really good way of getting close to these people, or we already are. So we also took the time to build our network accordingly, so that the people we would know or we would meet, we would have them in one way or another to our disposal, in a sort of a partnership, obviously, always. So yeah, our go-to-market, it's really like a plan on its own. You have so many different angles. And I think for us, the challenge will be to determine which ones are the ones that work best, and then focus most on those. And so we are still in a phase where we have to just simply have to experiment with what works best, what sticks best, and what converts best at the lowest cost for us, or at the biggest ROI. And yeah, every day we're working on getting more about information about that.
Okay, so you're currently still kind of working on that, on kind of the marketing strategy and material.
Yeah, well, I think you will always be working on your marketing strategy. It's a living thing. So for us, it's mostly about basically doing experiments, seeing what works best, keep improving. Even if you have done 1,000 experiments, you can still keep improving. So that's how we're positioning us right now in terms of marketing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Charlie, do you have anything else that you would ask?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds great. So I have this Miro board. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. The way I've structured this is that we just kind of have these things written out, and whatever is written in terms of like challenges that we kind of picked up that you're currently facing, or like the things that we could help with, or that that you need to work on. Or the idea is that we take all those and then put them all together and then kind of prioritize what seems to be kind of the most important thing. So because you've mentioned a lot of different things that are that go from, you know, actually crossing this traction gap or improving the sales flow, but also kind of prioritize the work that you're currently, or the workload that you're currently having. Sorry, there's a lot of these little kind of ideas that that you need to work on, basically. And this is just supposed to kind of give us a little bit of a better idea of what to focus on. So if you're on this board, actually there's this new, let me just try this. Bring everyone to me. Oh yeah. Now everybody should see my screen. Maybe, maybe not, maybe it's broken. But either way, we're here now, and let's take just maybe like 3 minutes and vote on the ones that you think are really relevant. And for you in particular, Ruben, maybe take, yeah, so you take four votes and everybody else just takes 2, just so it's kind of more balanced. And just place them actually wherever you want to, like copy paste them onto the post-its that you think are seem to represent what you would kind of love to work on the most, or have seen solved. HMW, by the way, stands for How Might We? So that's a Procter & Gamble exercise. We kind of listen to stuff and then we reframe that into something that sounds more solvable. So everything that you read here will already sound a little bit more like a solvable challenge. So I'll, sorry?
Do I have to like, what do I have to do? I have to pull
yeah. On the top right, you'll see the red dots. Just take copy one of those into your clipboard, and then you can paste them onto any and just paste them 4 times. So 4 votes. I'm just going to start the timer real quick. There it goes. And I can actually also share some music while it's here, just so it's like less boring. Hey.
Is that your music? Or,
it's not mine. It's based on Ram's recommendation. There's a no copyright lo-fi playlist.
Okay. Because I thought it was me, maybe.
No, yeah, I'm playing it through Zoom. Ah, cool. I think we're actually done. Music turns off. That actually playing. I hope that was actually, yeah, okay, never mind. Cool, thank you. I'm just going to move the ones with the votes over into the next section. So this is just an exercise that we also do internally quite a lot, which gives us the ability to, if we're in a team, to just like brainstorm some ideas and see what's really relevant. And I mean, we use that for pretty much all remote sessions, so we kind of can avoid wasting time in long conversations, or can focus on what's actually really important. So that's quite interesting. So there's one with 4 votes that says create hype on Indiegogo, and then a couple with less votes, give customers the possibility to touch the device before they buy it, ensure long-term supply chain, delivery sales, after-sales support, and sustain IgG traction and demand. What does IgG stand for?
Indiegogo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's very similar to the one above. And how might we know which of the features to communicate first on the Indiegogo campaign? So it seems like everything's kind of focused around the marketing material on the Indiegogo, which makes a lot of sense. And then there's these 2 kind of for long-term strategy and how to get people into actually using this. There's no direct answer that I can give you for something that has done something that's happened exactly this way. So this is definitely like marketing campaigns and other kind of advertisements for products to make them really interesting. And there was one project that I've worked on in the past for the UN, the United Nations. It was actually the World Food Program. So they released an app, and that was a charity app. You would just like have one button on the app, and you would pay a certain amount of money for a certain project. It's called Share the Meal. I don't know if you're familiar with it, or Share. And the interesting thing was that they've used a lot of different channels in how they kind of communicated everything. And I think in this case, so I can't really show anything that's like particularly exactly going to kind of show you an Indiegogo page, but it sounds like it's more of a challenge on prioritization and like, what are you going to show there and how are you going to show it to make it interesting? Let me just quickly show you an example of how we generally deal with something similar. And this is just an example of an actual digital product, but the creative process might give you some insight on what could be interesting to find out or experiment on. So this is a mirror board on a different project that was for a crypto trading bot. And one of the things that we kind of do along the way is that we do some research in a lot of other areas. So one of these things that we worked on here in particular was also kind of how we communicate the value. Let me see if that's so it would be more like, yeah, do users trust it, or how can we show the best rates and engage people to use a complex system even despite the complexity. And one of the things that we kind of do in a relatively short session is just kind of go out and Google the things that other people did, maybe on other platforms, maybe on other dimensions. And that brings out a lot of different kind of resources and kind of examples of what could be potential ways that are not very standard. And I think especially if you're going for something like an Indiegogo campaign, which has a very kind of established form or established way of how projects are laid out there, you want to figure out ways how you can really stand out there. And they might require something that's a little bit different from what everybody else is doing. Like I've been part of one project that was actually on, I think, Kickstarter, or I think they also put it on Indiegogo. And they did it the way that I wouldn't do it, because they basically like, they created a video that was asking for money, and described kind of what it was about. It was for a short film, so that it was funding for a short film. But it was not something that really stood out, and it was not really something where you could see that that's something that people need. Whereas I think if you look at like and this is something again that I can't really provide you with like the answer, but what helps us in these situations is looking at completely different examples of just what people pay attention to. And another thing that's interesting might be just writing out all the this is more like a personal kind of creative process, but if you write out all the ways that everybody knows how Indiegogo's campaigns are structured, so you know, in individual sentences, so like they have a video, they describe what the content is, they ask for money, they offer t-shirts, and then try to come up with examples of how you could make each individual one of those different from what, like, because you're kind of lining out what everybody perceives as being normal, as being what they see as what it looks like. And if you look at these individual elements, you can pretty quickly shift those around and like maybe even do the opposite. And you'll, even if you don't end up with doing everything, because everything might be even impossible, but you might end up with a couple of ideas that are actually quite unique, and you create something that really stands out and is different, especially based on what you know or what you can expect. So that's kind of something that helps a lot in, you know, just creating in a creative process to create something in a more overcrowded market to stand out. I mean, in this case, I think that's kind of most of the things that I can really comment on, because that's in itself like a project, I would say.
Still there? Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, you just dropped for a second.
Oh shit. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So that's like in itself a big project, and it requires like a lot of focus, but also a lot of deliberate thought. And then maybe it's even worth mocking that up as like an example, or like as something that's almost like a mocked up Indiegogo campaign with not a real video, but just a screenshot or like a photo that looks like a video, and then show it to people. So in this example, I mean, we did a landing page, and this is a prototype, obviously for a whole product, but it would show people what the page looks like, so you can kind of show them, and then you see what they really resonate with from the content that they see. And on Indiegogo, you can kind of you can probably pretty quickly just steal off the, like, take a screenshot of any of those campaigns, and then I don't know what I just clicked on, but you can probably take a screenshot of all of this and replace, just for instance, these videos with images that fit your product, put in some copy for what you think would be right. And that would cost a lot less effort of actually kind of producing what you think would be good information. But if you show that to someone, you'll know right away, like in a matter of 2 days, which content you should kind of align and change and maybe make a little bit different or better, or whether the videos, which cost a lot of production effort, are actually worth producing, or what people expect to see if they see a video. It's also quite interesting that someone wrote that there might be a possibility to touch the device before they buy it. That's probably something worth looking into, because it is a physical device, and I know that people buy stuff on Amazon either way. It doesn't really like, they don't really have issues most of the time if they see the value in it. But with haptical products, you have a separate platform for interaction with people. So what I mean is that everything that you see in a digital interface, or with an app, you try to design it so it's actually playful or enjoyable, or people have this feeling that it somehow enriches their life. And a lot of, especially with hardware wallets, they kind of miss out on the aspect of what they can actually do with the hardware. How do the buttons interact? Like, how does that device feel? Is it heavy? Is it light? What does it do if it's like on the table? Like, how does it look if it's an object that's lying on the table in front of people? Is it part of the keychain? Does it fit in the pocket? All of these things, and they're actually very, very important bits that can, and I'm not sure how much you've kind of tested that, but if you have like a lot of details that where you kind of spend thoughts and how that could fit into people's lives, you can actually use that to to show off how it is as a physical product without having to tell anything. So if you're like, if someone, you're kind of creating like simple wins by having people already own it and then show it to someone, feel it, or maybe it's something that's in a store where people can actually touch it. Yeah, I'm not an expert on long-term supply chain. I don't really have a lot of info on that. I think it's just work. That's just life, and I guess keep prioritizing and staying lean is definitely a good way to move forward. I think in my experience, some of the projects that failed on that end that I know rushed too much, and because also you've mentioned this kind of crossing this chasm or crossing this I guess gap of traction. It's an important step, and I don't know. Have you read Crossing the Chasm, the book? Or have you familiar? Okay, good. So like in my experience, a lot of or some teams that I know, they had a lot of trouble. Or I guess that's something that's more like specific to your case. Obviously, it's very difficult because you need to just actually convince people to go into that and cross that chasm. But there's also the other part, like what happens if it actually really blows off, and when it's really really getting popular, how do you pace yourself? Because it's very easy to be misled by numbers and try to kind of adjust to a long game. So you will want to be playing the long game in general, because if you have like a short-term success and you've been stuck in a very kind of short iteration cycle, then that's how you'll continue, and you might kind of oversee some mistakes because you will want to do everything really, really fast. And there's like one particular example with an agency where they had huge success, and they started to hire a lot of people in just to kind of, because they had a lot of money, and they started hiring people in for individual positions and put everything together. And they completely, because of that, especially the founders couldn't really focus on the quality of the output of the work, because they were mostly tied on or like focused on the revenue. So that was like one kind of pitfall that they had, that they lost the ability to actually see where the agency is going and where the quality of the output is going, and started to focus really only on the financial side. And
yeah, a lot of companies fail on either doing too much market driven their approach, so they focus on sales and they forget the features. And but the other pitfall is that you do the opposite, so you're like completely technical roadmap focused, like engineers do, just keep on adding features because they love the product.
Yeah.
And eventually there is nobody that actually wants to buy or wants to pay the price.
Right.
So yeah, you kind of have to get that market driven approach instead of the sales or the technical.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you know all this already, so I don't know if I can offer you even more kind of knowledge. I think in this case, I don't know, this is just an exercise that I also just like sharing in order to maintain kind of a productive and healthy team collaboration. Normally what we would do, and if you want, we can also just kind of try that out and see if we can come up with some good ideas. Yeah, let's actually do that. Maybe it's going to be fun. So here, I'm just going to move all these over to the next bit, which is just like a solution generation. And let's just see how many things we can come up with. Now we know that there's, we just have these 5, oh yeah, cool, thanks, Charlie. These 5 ideas or thoughts or questions. And let's just spend like 10 minutes and try to brainstorm as many solutions as possible to those, just to see what everybody, maybe someone has some cool ideas of how that could be fixed. Obviously, take part in it yourself, because you might come up with something under time pressure that you might not have been thinking before. RAM is already going wild. And yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Obviously, we have several of these, let's say, figured out. So I will try not to reuse any of those that I already have, and just try to invent new ones.
In my opinion, feel free to, because writing them out keeps you in the flow of just writing. And on one hand, it might be beneficial for other people, and it also gives you kind of this mental, I guess, help that you don't have friction. So if you're trying to work creatively and coming up with a lot of content, you want to give yourself the maximum freedom of just coming up with as much as you can. And this is just my personal kind of approach, or I guess advice, is that any block or anything that might keep you from writing things down, I would just avoid it and just write it out anyway, except if it's something that other people shouldn't see. And in that case, you can just use a different area in this board. But yeah, feel free to write whatever you want. I'm going to set the timer on 7 minutes, and let's just see what comes out of it. Feel free also to Google things around, and maybe you'll find something cool. So 7 minutes from now, and here's some jazzy, lo-fi, no copyright music. Oh, the track actually ended. Okay.
Ruben, one question. How long is the campaign?
26th till 23rd of May. 26th of May till 23rd of June.
1 month, roughly.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice interaction, Andre. Felt very close.
Yeah. Same.
Testing. 1, 2, 437.
I think I'm on the verge of a breakthrough.
Some of the songs in this playlist are very special. This is like awesome. Yeah, cool. That's great. Thanks so much for doing this. That was I'm very that was very fun. That was unexpectedly fun. I think that was probably the most kind of ideas that we ever came up with it across all the workshops so far here.
And there are only a single founders here.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
Right. Yeah, so there will be a lot to draw from. Let's do a little bit of voting just for fun to see what pops out. I'll put on a timer on 5 minutes, and I guess after the voting we can quickly wrap up. So yeah, again, Ruben, you can have 4 votes. Everybody else stick to 2, and I'll see you in 5. I'll put some other music. There we go. Actually, good playlist. I love it. I think that's actually it, right? Everybody had a chance to go. I'm just going to stop the timer and we can look at the results. Sweet. Yeah, so I mean, part of why I did it was just to kind of show you just how quick that is. I don't know if you've done something similar before, but I always like to see that it takes like, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, or like, I mean, in total, it took us like, what, 25 minutes or so, but we pretty quickly kind of narrowed down what we needed to, like what the challenges were, and now already came up with some solutions. I don't know how many of those are actually something that you haven't considered yet, but it could be interesting to see how that can work within the show. Sorry, Leon, we're too close. This relationship is too intense. Yeah, so it's kind of nice because you can see there's a lot of things that I don't know, maybe you've thought about that, maybe or not, maybe you haven't, but it could be worth a try. So there's one that a lot of people have voted on, which is unboxing by YouTube pros and then strategic influencer placement. That one's actually quite interesting because I also heard from, like, Joe Rogan had an ad for the Brave browser, and I was like, that's quite interesting because he normally doesn't do anything that's to do with technology at all, and then it's crypto. So I think just having that done by someone who's one of the biggest influencers in the world is something that could already provide a kind of a ground for other people to kind of jump into. Hey, security is actually quite an important thing, and owning your data is important. So I think a lot of especially kind of new popular, maybe millennial influencers will be happy to kind of share that idea. The only challenge is obviously reaching out to them and finding those, but that's something that where you have to kind of find your network through. This. I'm just
Ruben, just a question on the top two there. How are you guys? Are you doing anything in that direction?
Yeah, so the strategic influencer placement, that's one I put there. That's one we are really working hard on, and we're actually really making good results and progress on that as well. Unboxing, I see it as part of that block actually. So it will definitely be part of the game. It's extremely important for the crypto space if you are talking about a hardware solution like ours. So definitely, and it's also it has always been our goal to make it an experience, the unboxing. So we will have influencers during the campaign, and we will also the moment that they actually receive their own box, let's say, also try to do some things about around that. We also had some really cool ideas, but it all depends on how implementable they are. But they could be really mind-blowing. I'm not sure if we will do them. We'll see. We're certainly going to have a look and try. I'm not going to say exactly what it is yet. But so these two, yeah, of course, they're almost no-brainers in what we are doing. I think that we have to do them. Then if I look below, I think sponsor a surfer. We all know where that one comes from.
Actually, Charlie's a surfer as well, and Ruben as well. So.
No, I didn't write it. So.
The thing is, I wrote that as a joke, but to be honest, every time I go surfing, I have the same fear that someone will break into my car or steal my mobile phone or whatever it is. And
indeed,
interesting.
And if you think about it, every time I plug in my cold storage wallet, I'm like, ooh, is anybody gonna connect to it and steal my private key? So similar.
That's why we made a track to put in your surfboard that you cannot attack because it's not there. Same time that it is.
Great.
Ruben, is it zero waterproof?
It is water resistant, yeah. Waterproof. Okay. It has many different
I know
dimensions, but basically you can spill water on it, nothing will happen now.
But could you have it on a surfboard, like in the water?
Well, I would be happy to see you try and tell me whether it works or not.
Good answer.
But it depends. If your waves are 5 meters, I think you will just lose the device. It will still work. Some whale somewhere in the sea will maybe by coincidence will still transfer your crypto, but yeah.
Okay.
Depends
on your surfing skills as well, probably.
Yeah, let's see what else. Podcasts. Yeah, I think that's part of the influencer block. Sponsor a surfer. Okay, we will do it. Scarcity is one I put there. I think it's one of the 6 big laws of influence. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually read a lot of books about not only influence and persuasion, but also about persuasion, which I definitely recommend anybody to read because it's extremely powerful. It's about, you don't have to say anything and you're already putting the person in the right mindset to buy from you. And not necessarily buy, but for example, and the most simple ideas are, you can say, I want to eat Italian, but I know my wife, it's not really her thing. You just put on some Italian music, you don't talk about it. And then at some point you say, hey, how about Italian? And she will be, her mind will be persuaded already. So there are so many things you can do there. And I will experiment with them in the future. Not too much now. Let's keep it simple. But yeah. Then the oversubscribed approach, yes. But the thing is, like this, the true scarcity and the model where you can start with a few people and then grow bigger. It works well if you already have the product. I would say. In our case, we need the funds to basically fund the actual first batches. Otherwise, he would definitely have considered this. Take away the purchase anxiety dimensions. It's one I wrote down, but it's someone we actually experimented on Indiegogo during the summer last year to know, like, we had specific assumptions, such as, in our opinion, we thought there were a couple of walls and not just one wall. Normally you have just one wall on Kickstarter. It's a physical device. It works. If I see a video, I believe it works. That's it. I'm going to buy it if I like the thing. But with us, you have the wall of it has to exist. The second wall is security. Can it be as secure as these guys say that it is? Which is a huge challenge on its own. And then you actually multiply the first two with the aspect of crypto. And crypto is, all these people think crypto is scammy. Seeing a crypto project, it's scammy. There are actually solutions like us that never built anything that still raised $250,000 on Indiegogo. You can still find these projects, but they were exit scams. So they just left with all the money. So put those three together, where we have a huge wall and we have to tear them down. So this anxiety, I think it's a real thing, and we really have to think about and work on. Then the hire guest designers. Yes, so we actually reached out to the guys who make skins, like really, really cool skins, but they didn't want to work. They didn't want to work in this way. So it might be something for the future. And actually, regardless, as we are working with our own suppliers on a face-to-face basis, we are actually able to make different colored devices. And nice. You will maybe see some of that pop up when we cross certain thresholds in the campaign, if we ever do. So yeah, there's actually a lot we can do in terms of the appearance of the device. Then the I want this causing visuals. It's also one I wrote down. I think if you go, for me, it's if you compare it to the website of Apple, you just go through it and you know, I just want this. I don't care how much it costs. It looks so amazing. I just want it. And that's sort of what we're trying to achieve over time, because for more beautiful visuals, you need bigger budgets and so on. But I think for this campaign, we will have a couple of really nice visuals. Yeah, and then promote on the media where users spend time. It's also one of mine. It's just the fact that you have to know where your dream customers are, that you have to know what bait you need to basically get them into the funnel, into the value ladder. And then you keep bringing them more and more value, and they will keep stepping up the stairs and buying more value from you. So yeah, I mean,
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. I remember you had like there was one thing that we wrote down as in terms of just prioritization of kind of the efforts, because you had like some kind of time constraints. You can do that, obviously, the same kind of process or exercise with your team too, because you would come up with something similar, maybe a little bit more, maybe less. But what I sometimes do is just kind of see which of those fit on. You probably know that from the lean, effort impact, and then you'll have the actionable steps. But yeah, that's cool. Awesome. That was fun. Thanks for your time. I think we're through. We're done.
And
right? Any other questions?
Yeah. I think Ruben, you'll get. They'll send you all this information, so you can take a look at it. I actually like the one square to the right as well. Maybe not in your case, but we did it with Valega a bit. And you can show it. Perhaps Andre, explain it just in 1 minute. We need to go offline.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just to briefly explain this, how it works, because people are watching from the internet. This whole thing works in a way that you would kind of take this navigation didn't work. You take the results of the prioritization, and you try to kind of move them into the areas where you see what is, how difficult it is to implement it and how impactful that would be. And obviously you would have them in a lot of different areas, but that gives you a good idea of what you should focus on right away, what you can get done right away, and have the highest impact in general. And if you do that together as a team, then you'll have a pretty solid foundation of what the next immediate steps could be. And then you can kind of go into more detail on each individual one. And then let's assume that one, and then you can kind of go and split it up into steps, the easiest steps in the beginning, and delegate it to someone, obviously. So that's what it's for. It's super basic, but I think it's just a nice thing for a team.
Yeah, but it's simplicity that makes it so strong as well. I like it. I like it a lot. I use it, and the reason is because I think also most consultants are already happy when you use like a 2x2 matrix to structure your thoughts. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, the tools are great.
Great. Good, guys. So yeah, Deep Work, thank you very much for this 1 hour. I hope Ruben from NGRAVE, you got something out of it. And we're looking forward to the launch of your Indiegogo campaign on May 26th. Yes, we should all tune in, guys. Andre and Charlie, you guys as well would be good.
Definitely.
Do you have crypto? You have some?
Say it again, sorry.
Do you have some cryptocurrencies yourself?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, but I'm actually interested in a good hardware wallet. I have a Ledger, like a Ledger Nano S, but I don't really like it that much.
This one's gonna blow your mind off. So definitely.
Awesome.
I'm really keen for it. Like, it took me a little while to understand the actual offline nature of it. That really sees like the key value point. And when I looked at your website, I didn't get that. But after this call, I'm like, oh, hang on a second, this is way more secure. Like, I never go online with my device. So for me, yeah, I think I would get one.
Yeah,
super
great. So it took you an hour to sell another 2 of them. That's not gonna work.
You'll get better at it.
But Ruben does have videos on our YouTube page, on Accelerator Frankfurt YouTube page, videos on previous sessions and with mentor sessions, and then actually you can really see exactly, he actually holds the products and explains how the offline nature works. So I encourage everybody to check it out. And that's about it. Tomorrow is a resting day. We're not live streaming on Wednesdays. We'll be back on Thursday, 12 p.m. CET. And with that, I say farewell to everybody. See you soon. Thank you, Deep Work, for the excellent sessions with all the startups. And we can go to commercials.
They're really giving everything they have into the business that they've created and into the community that they are nurturing. And their help and their patience and their enthusiasm was something which is rare and is one of the reasons I think that in the long term they're going to succeed very well here.
I want to thank particularly Maria and Ram, who were great initiatives of this program, and I guess I speak in the name of all participating startups here. Thank you.
I want to say hi to the other countries tuned in. We've marketed this event also in Finland very strongly and in Israel.
I'm going to tell you exactly why, the reasons why you're here and what we're going to get out of the day as well. Please put your hands together. for the founder of Accelerator Frankfurt, Mr. Ram Shohan.
Business life, startup life, entrepreneur, it's all about people. Because it is a big day for Accelerator Frankfurt.
I think that it's a wonderful area to actually develop and adopt initial customers.
This feeling that failing is very, very bad. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to do something, you have to have the ability to.
I think the unique thing that actually Frankfurt brings is this connection with Israel. We all know Israel is a startup hub, you know, like the second after Silicon Valley. And what we want to do here in Frankfurt is really create a vibrant ecosystem. And for that, I think it helps that we have this Israeli startups coming to Frankfurt, mixing with their own, with crazy ideas and crazy ways of doing things, with a more stable, down-to-earth German way, systematic way of doing things.
Banks, VCs, business angels. I think you have the biggest responsibility in nurturing our startup ecosystem. You are the oxygen for the startups.
Maria and Ram, they have a huge background and experience in bringing up startups. So they come from communities in Israel and Finland, where startup is a very strong community and maybe much more active and dynamic than in Germany. And they have brought that spirit to Germany.
No, it's definitely been an outstanding experience, so I would definitely rate it as a 10, yeah? For sure.
It would be a 10. Honestly, first program we participated in, but it certainly over-delivered our expectations.
Yeah, it would be absolutely like 100, but if it's at 10, it's close.